Buddy, welcome back to Business and Beyond, the podcast where we highlight local businesses and learn about their successes. Today, we are joined with Stephen Green, a longtime mortgage expert, team lead of the Financial Collective, and he is also my mentor. So it is an absolute honor to have you on the podcast. Thank you so much for coming on today, Stephen.
Hey, an honor. My goodness, I have not had that bestowed upon me in ever. Thanks for having me, Brian. Love it.
Awesome. Please tell us a little bit about your mortgage career and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah. Oh man, how long do we have on this thing? So, so mortgages for me, I think it's the product that I know about. I think it's more the business and the sales and the relationship part that really kind of gets me up in the morning, to be totally honest. I think, I've been in banking and just around money, we'll say, not making all the money, but I'm around the money, for probably more than 25 years now. And, I started out in banking, back before, back when it was Canada Trust and TD. They were separate. I was never a TD Bank employee. I was Canada Trust. That was it. I left right before the merger. I was part of that exodus. But I went from Canada Trust. I did 12, 13 years at BMO, and then I did another various roles, a whole bunch of stuff, and then another 12 years as the same job as a mortgage specialist at RBC. And then when I was all grown up and ready to go out on my own, I moved over as a broker a couple of years ago now. So
nice.
All the places I worked for have been incredible. I've been very, very lucky. I had some great bosses. And here I am now. Like I said, all grown up and got my own little shop moving along. So
nice. I'm really showing my age here, but you're telling me TD and Canada Trust they've never been the same entity. They were separate.
Yes.
Oh man. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
All right. Well,
yeah,
this is news to me.
Yeah. So you would actually appreciate this, because the way a lot of people like myself even got into banking was with Canada Trust, because Canada Trust at the time, they went for a whole decade where they had Monday to Friday, 8 till 8. That was their thing, right? They were open a lot, great hours. Saturday, it was like 9 till 3. Only open, I don't think they were open on Sundays at all. But so what was happening, there was a whole generation of part-timers. So I would go to school during the day, right? And then I would work the 4 to 8 shift, right? I was in high school working at the bank 4 to 8. My friends were flipping burgers, and I was working at the bank 4 to 8. So a whole generation of part-timers came through. And then when a TD, bought them and, did what they did, and a lot of them still have longer hours, but not 8 till 8. But that's how a lot of people got their start.
Yeah, so that's crazy to hear, because even when I was in high school and I was working my part-time jobs, no one worked at the bank. I don't even think anyone considered going to the bank as well as a part-time job. Everyone was just flipping burgers, doing really random fun stuff. Me, myself, I worked at Chuck E. Cheese. Absolute awesome job. Yes, I had to wear the costume. No, we did not recycle the pizza. No further questions.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, and that's where it was different. You're right. It was a window in time. And, it was one of those things where I still remember it was August 3rd, 2000. The memo hit the old teller desk. I was a teller at Canada Trust, and I was part of the exodus. People were like, Canada Trust and TD were like, I don't know, pick two world powers that don't like each other, right? That's what they were. And we had heavy retail, and then you had heavy banking that didn't have great customer service with TD. And I know from friends, the merger didn't go well. The cultures were night and day. So I was part of the exodus that left before everything went down.
I like how you remember the exact date too.
There's things you remember, right? Like, we just came off 9/11, for example. I know where I was. I know exactly where I was 9/11, right?
Fair.
And there's little things in time. You're like, I know where I was when that happened, So
yeah. I mean, for me, during 9/11, I was like maybe 1.5, almost 2.
Yes.
So, yeah.
All right. Well, here, I'm going to make you feel real old, man. I was a branch manager, and I remember we had a branch in Scarborough when I was with Bank of Montreal. One of the first that had a TV, a big, huge, not a flat screen, a big TV that was facing the lineup. So let's just call it what it is, to distract people from how long it was taking, right? And we were all just watching on TV, like we didn't know what was going on, right?
Yeah.
I was coaching volleyball at the time. We ran practice that night in Toronto. We still ran practice. Like, we didn't know what was happening totally. So yeah, crazy things you remember.
Yeah, it is crazy how like you really get pinpointed at certain places like based on your memory, right?
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
Switching over back to mortgages. One thing I find amongst my peers is not many people actually know what mortgage brokering is or what a mortgage agent does. How would you describe a mortgage agent to anyone who asked?
It's a really good question, and I think it's evolved. It's really evolved, you know. So back in the day, mortgage brokers, they didn't really even have access to prime lenders like Scotia, TD. Mortgage brokers were just really to do alternative lending, private. That's really what they were. But it's really become, and what I think it's a combination of what it's become and what it should be. Like, a mortgage broker is there to really provide advice on mortgages, find to broker an application with the respective lender. And you should be a broker is a subject matter expert, right? We should have most of the answers. If not, that's okay. You got to find the answer. But our job is really to find the right bank and the lender that fits your family. The rate is part of it, the solution, the plan, the future. Like, you really should be that. And I think that's what a broker, that's what we try to do, right? That's what a broker, I think, has become. And in particular, the successful brokers, right? A broker is not an order taker. They're just not an order taker. That's not what we do. It's not, oh, you want a mortgage? Great. Would you like to supersize that? That's not what we do, right? That's not our job. Our job is to provide advice and really make sure that you're making the right choices, or at least give you the right recommendations for your future, right?
Yeah, and that's a very good way to put it. And I find like one thing I really explain to my friends because a lot of the comparisons are, oh, like why are you not working for a bank? What's the difference between like a bank and a long time broker? And like one thing I really look at is the amount of time you're helping these families and you're helping these people. Like we're really focused on mortgage strategies, long term planning, long term solutions. Because although a lot of people go for the 5 year fixed, a lot of people are breaking 3 4 years in anyways. And it's good to be in contact where the bank is transaction, then they're done. You don't even know
Yes.
if you're dealing with the same person the next time around. Whereas individual, you're really building the relationship with that person. You're really connecting and helping their family.
That's a good point. I think there's some fantastic people that work at the bank. Like, I mean, experience, know what they're doing. I worked there for over 25 years, and the last 12 as a mortgage specialist. And listen, I think for someone like myself who is very successful, and there are a number of successful folks, the bank is good, but if you really want to take your mortgage business and the advice you give to clients to the next level, you got to break out of that cocoon a little bit, right? And I enjoyed the cocoon. Hey, it was great, and my clients had great experiences, but I want to go next level, right? I want to deliver not a great experience, like an exceptional experience. And that's what we're able to do. The sky's the limit, right? And I mean, you see it with us, like, we're always introducing new technology, and not to ram down people's throat, but to really facilitate our behaviors, right?
Yeah.
To deliver that exceptional experience. And that's a huge, humongous difference going forward.
Mhm. And you mentioned that you really saw good success within RBC, like in your cocoon, and you're also seeing great success right now. Like you're in the top quartile of our brokerage. Also, how did you build your mortgage business to be at the successful length that it's at?
I think I think the biggest thing, there's a bunch of little things, but I think the biggest thing for me, I'm always genuine and transparent, right? I think there's stuff that's table stakes. We can say great communication and I get back to people quick. Well, that's table stakes. You got to do that. Like that, any business has that. Whether you're doing mortgages or selling flowers, like, it doesn't matter. But I think sometimes there's intangibles with people, and I think being transparent, being honest to a fault. I think I've said this to you guys, where it's like sometimes the best mortgage you do is the one you don't, right? And doing the right thing. And it sounds so simple, but it's sometimes really difficult to do the right thing and be honest and, tell clients, hey, maybe we shouldn't be doing this refi, right? Or there's clients that, they'll get declined for a mortgage and there's just not a really good option. And I'll say, hey guys, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go forward. I don't think it's the right thing to do. Or you got to go work on this, right? I'm not being mean, but you got to go work on this. And people appreciate that. I think there's so much fluff and just be honest, like get to the point, be straightforward, transparent. I think that's maybe the biggest part of it, and I think just wanting to do the best thing for the people I work with. Again, super simple, but does it come through? You might be thinking it. Do they know it?
That's very well
Right.
said. And speaking on you being transparent as well, like one thing I get asked a lot is like, how do you like working for Steve? And, like what made you join his team? And I remember one distinct memory I have, like a quick, reversal. As soon as you graduate through your mortgage licensing phase, a bunch of recruiters are on you like hounds. Like the way I describe it is everyone is trying to have the mass amount of agents they can to see how many of them will survive. It's like natural selection, have the most kids, see which one survives. And it goes on like that. And every recruiter that tries to contact you, they have the best training, they have the best leads, they'll give you whatever. And I sit down with Steve and we're having coffee and he's like, hey, I'm going to be front with you, man. This job fucking sucks. This job's going to take so much of your time. You're going to have an awful work to life ratio. They say when you're self-employed, you work for yourself, but you work like 60 hours. If you want to do this job, be my guest, call me back. But this job isn't glamorous. All right. This job is all right. And I'm like, you know what? This is refreshing. This is what I want to hear. You're not selling me a false promise. You're not telling me you have the best training ever. You're not telling me that you can promise me this and that. Like you're just blunt. And I'm like, you know what? This is nice.
Yep. Brian, so I went through the recruiting process. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm going to take that as a compliment.
It is. Yeah.
So when I was exploring leaving the bank, going to broker world, I had the same thing, and I went through, we'll call it recruiting visits, right? Hey, I'm exploring some options, and of course, similar to what you got, roll out the red carpet. We do everything for you, but sometimes you got to sort through the bullshit because there's a lot, and you got to understand some brokerages, they're just there to collect your money. They really don't care too much. Like, just call it what it is. My friend, I'll be honest, I get still now, like, I still get calls from calling services saying this guy wants to talk to you. I'm not mad at the person calling, doing your job, but I'm like, you know what? If I'm that important, he can call me himself. Seriously. Like, going back to the transparency thing, let me be transparent with you, Mr. or Mrs. calling person. But I was lied to. Like, through my recruiting visit, I was lied to by places, and the place I ended up with is the one that was honest. They knew me. They knew what was going to go on. This is what we're going to do. We want you here. Like, just cut through it, man. Dude, I got stuff to do, right? I'm getting ready to start my business. And I think, Brian, when I talk to agents that are wanting to look at this team, we're not going rose-colored glasses here, man. It ain't fun, but you're going to get the experience. And I think I always end it with, you might remember this, I always say, hey, if this interests you and I hear back from you, cool. If not, hey, good luck to you, brother. See you later. I'm good with it, right?
Yeah.
So I scare a lot of people off with that. I'm okay with it. Because I think you'll attest to this. Was I kind of right a little bit?
Yeah. And like fully, like being 9 months or 10 months into however long I've been in this now, like it is fully not glamorous. I'm having the time of my life, but I am in the trenches. Like I am on like the social edge of seeing everybody, and like I'm just trying to make so many friends. I'm putting pants on, I'm going out the door, and I'm just like handing out flyers, door knocking, cold calling. Like I am out there. And like the way I describe this job, or one thing I really noticed, is there's been so many uncomfy things that I've just forced myself to do, which is honestly amazing because now I'm so much far out of my boundaries and my comfort level where more things are comfortable. Like I'm opening more doors. But man, it is scary. Like I remember the first time I did a cold call, like my heart was pounding out of my chest. I don't know why. Like I'm calling a stranger. Why do I care? Why do they care? But my heart was pounding. I'm praying that they're not going to pick up the phone. Like, but now I'm cold calling, no problem. Like it's crazy how much repetition and how much experience does for you in this field, right?
But that's building a business.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people forget. Whether you're doing mortgages or life insurance, and listen, I'll toot your horn for you. I've said this, like the work you're putting in. This is the worst time this will be the worst time of your business because you're doing the work. It's a tough time in the economy. Rates are up and down, left and right. And it's the toughest thing when you're putting in the work and you're starting out, right? You're working your ass off. Like, there's no one else I know that's working as hard as you, right? And that's where it's tough because you gotta wait. All right, I'm doing the stuff, I'm doing the activity. When is this gonna start to come in now? Right. So I get it, man. Like, but because I've been there.
Yeah.
That's a difference, right? I'm not a recruiter who all I do all day. Maybe I haven't even done mortgages before. I'm just a business development manager. You don't know. I know. Dude, I've done that. I've been lied to. I've been lied to. I've been stabbed in the dark, or stabbed in the dark, stabbed in the back. You name it. Like, it's like, remember I say, like Teflon. Let it roll off, man. Moving on, right? So,
Yeah, you really learn to just like, roll with the punches in this job and then also not care at the same time. It's like the two things you really learn. One thing to quick switch and pivot here. When I'm scrolling on my Instagram feed, all I see all day, every day is Stephen fucking Green mortgages. So I really have to ask you here, like, has social media really been a big enhancer for your business, or is this just like, you're having like an influencer moment and it's just a nice side passion right now?
well, it's interesting because I've hired somebody to consult on this topic with me, relative to my stuff in particular. I've listened to people, I've heard people, and I think you just answered the question. You just brought it up, right? And I think, do I get 1,000 likes? No, I don't. Do I hear from people? Hey, I saw that you said that on social. I saw that you talked about that. Can I talk to a client and say, hey, go check out the video that I did, right? Yeah, I don't get thousands of likes. I'm not, honestly, I'm not that popular, right? Do I have engagement? Yeah, I've got engagement. I do, for sure. Do I have recognition because of it? Well, you just prove that I do, right? And I hear that from people. All I see is you. Like, one of our partners we work with is like, every time I open up my LinkedIn, there you are. Like, there you are. That's all I can freaking see is you, right? Okay, good. That means it's working. Thanks. Right. And you just proved it as well, right? I think we talk about algorithms, we talk about that, but you know what? I think it's about being there. And I think not everybody in our industry is like heart, 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 heart. We're not all doing that. We're listening. I know me. I don't heart everything. I'm not that guy, right? But I think it's the recognition. It's the, oh yes, Steven does a podcast and Steven does a this and he does a that. All right, then it's working. It's working, right?
Yeah.
If I can honestly say that that's what's going on, it's working.
You know what? That's very fair enough, and I find I'm in a similar boat. Even like I've been trying to be more social on social media. Ironic, but I find sometimes I go into public, or I run into old friends, and they're like, "Hey, you know what? Like I really like some of the videos you do," and I find I kind of freeze up, and I don't even know how to respond. I'm like, "Thank you," but like I find I like get weird about it, where I'm like, I don't know whether to thank you, like whether to like ask for recommendations of what you're looking to like see. Like I find that I'm getting the feedback from people and people are noticing, but I find it gets so weird about it when someone's like, oh, I like what you do. I'm like, thank you. I don't know where to go from here.
Well, yeah, and I think, like, I saw one of your videos today when you were doing some door knocking, right? That's perfect. That's the stuff that you're going to hear about that, right? You might not get all the heart, 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 whatever the hell you call it, right? But people are going to see that. They're gonna be like, oh, that guy's like, he's like still in business. This is good, right? This doesn't have to. What I'm finding, I don't need a lot of hearts and likes and shares. I just need people to recognize that, yeah, the guy's out there, man. He's smart. He sounds smart, right? So that's what I see.
Nice. If you were to start today from scratch, brand new, no experience in your business in this current economy that we have, what would you be doing to grow your business?
Are you going back to school? So, man, what would I do right now if I was starting right now? Boy, okay, so I'm super competitive. I'm like off the charts. I need something to compete. And I would say if I was starting right now, I would be I would probably do something very similar stuff to what I did when I first started. And that is, I don't have a lot of fear too much because I just don't care. If you want to hang up on me, I'm good with it. I would be calling every possible referral source I could think of, whether it's a realtor, so random, right? Hey, I'm Steven. Oh, you don't want to talk to me? That's cool. I'm just going to text you my phone number and let you know who I am, right? Here's my website, or here's my link tree, right? Boom, next call. Hey, I'm Steven. Oh, you're going to hang up on me? That's okay. I'm going to text you my info. See you later. Goodbye. Right? I would just be pumping out I would take any free anything, right? Like a free link tree, start pumping it out, start calling out every single reel. You want to hang up on me? I'm cool, but I'm still going to text you and text you my details, right? I'd be doing stuff like that, right? Or any, again, free. You don't have a lot of money. You don't have any money when you start out, right? And now with social media, you can kind of find stuff to go to. I'd be going to anything for free I could find, right? Chamber of Commerce. There's a lot of Chamber of Commerce events that are free, right? The meetup.com. And I'm not talking to find someone to, hook up with unless they're doing a mortgage, but I'm looking for like a business type. Where can I go to network, right? Find, what is it called? Is it meetup.com? Is that what
Yeah,
it's
it's
called?
meetup.com.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I was calling out like, Tinder or something like that. But yeah, so okay, go find free stuff. Just go talk to random people, because now going back to what I know now, right? I know sometimes these random connections turn into something. I would say some of my biggest relationships right now came from random stuff, like random, right? I'd be calling accountants. Fine, you want to hang up on me? I don't care. Fine, whatever. I'm going to email you my details. Okay, bye. All good, right? That's what I'd be doing. I'd call, and then I would call them 2 weeks later. What else do I have to do with my time, right? Social media, it's free. Boom, boom, boom. Post, post, post. Steal things from others, right? Nothing's really original in our industry. Go find a video. Oh, that's good. I'm going to do a video about that. Right?
Yeah.
That's what I would be doing. So,
Nice. In other words, just
yeah.
like really putting yourself out there, like as much as you possibly can, like putting your name, your face, everything attributed to your business out there.
Why can't, if I'm brand new and I got nothing else to do with my time, why can't I do 2 to 3 videos a day, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be high quality, right? TikTok, video, green screen, captions, post. Done. Next. We can talk about stuff all day long, right?
Yeah, very well said. I know within the Financial Collective, you're doing some really cool things with technology, and I know that's one thing about I really love about our team and the use of Zoho as well. Like we're really technologically advanced, I'd say, like compared to a couple other brokerages. Do you want to expand on a couple things you're doing with like the Premier partnerships, Penalty Pro, like some of the cool features that you have that people just aren't doing yet?
Yeah, thanks, man. And thanks for that compliment, because I think it's probably one of the reasons why I chose to kind of go out on my own, because I think the future, and I've had this conversation with mortgage tech folks, and because I just said that we're knee deep into technology, and I know a lot of people are like, well, we don't want it to replace people, we don't want it to replace the human touch and the human element, and I get that, and that's not what this is, right? If your tech is replacing that, you're doing it wrong. Like, it is what it is, right? But what we really want to do is we want to bring the cutting edge tech stuff to our team, to our agents, to really enhance the client experience. That's all it is, right? The tech should support the behaviors. I've said that at nauseum. The tech should support your behaviors as a mortgage agent. So, stuff like, for example, with our Premier Partner program, which is full right now as a waiting list, where, we're bringing our partners that refer us business technology for them, stuff that they don't have, right? Their own personalized landing page. Who else has a thing where you click a button on your phone and there's all the info for your mortgage agent that they did for you, right? Um, we're introducing stuff like penalty insurance and rate insurance, where we're monitoring penalties. That's coming out. It's in the works. Something you don't even know about yet. We've got a new program coming out where anyone who has a mortgage with us is going to get a monthly report on their house value, their equity, what's going on in the market, like personalized to their property. So we're trying to bring stuff like that, again, not replacing me, it's not replacing you, it's enhancing that experience. Like we're one of the only ones that have a client portal, for crying out loud. Like one-stop shop for all your whatever. So I think I want to be cutting edge with everything. And then and that's our CRM, like good God, like the actual client relationship management tool. We have clients that I know we're the only ones doing this, or very close to it. There's probably someone else going to comment in the comments saying, "I'm doing that. You're a dick," right? But we're doing stuff like the lawyer's office is messaged 2 to 3 times the day of closing. Are we good? Do you have funds? Are we good? I want to get involved, right? Week before, are you good? Clients, hey, you've been instructed. Call your lawyer. Like we are doing so much stuff. We're not replacing us. We're making this really freaking cool, right? So, and then apps. We all have our own app. Like, if you don't have an app and you're not on your client's phone, do you exist? I don't think so anymore. I kind of don't, right? So, I think Brian, we're trying to we want to be the next kind of team that has tech that's going to enhance your client experience. That's what it is, right? We're not replacing humans, nothing like that. We want to make sure we've got that tech ready for you so that your clients are having an incredible experience. That's really what it comes down to.
Nice. And that's so well said, and so I guess revolutionary in this industry too, because there's so many tech giants that are coming out with mortgages as well, like Neo and Wealthsimple. And those are like catered to my generation, where it's super user friendly, no middle person like the bank, no, like, nice hybrid like us. And I feel like the technology really puts us on par. Like, hey, we have a client portal, we have Penalty Protector Pro, we're monitoring your mortgage, and on top of that, you can call us at 10 p.m. and we'll answer. Whereas, you don't know who you're dealing with like a Wealthsimple or a Neo, but like they're starting to become those cutting edge competition rather than like, the banks, right?
Well, I think a lot of times in mortgages, we make this a lot more complicated than it really is. And I think, back in the day when we would sit down at an office and meet with people, right? And you'd actually have to, turn your computer and you all huddle around the laptop, right? Obviously pre-COVID, 'cause you don't want to get close to people, but you huddle around the laptop. I used to do that whole mortgage process that I've showed to clients on a screen. I used to write that out every single time. Drove my boss nuts because I write like a friggin' 2-year-old, okay? But people loved it. They left the appointment with paper. They left with a plan. I scribbled, like they loved it. Like what? I'm like, don't tell anyone an adult wrote this, but they loved it. They left with a plan. Well, we're virtual now. We don't do that. We don't give anyone anything other than send me your documents, right? So our team, we're just about to come out with this where we're going to have a strategy session with you and we're sending you with the plan on the internet, obviously locked down by in a bit of a portal, and your realtor's going to get a copy. Oh, you mean I'm leaving with this? So you want to know what we did, and it's not scribbled paper. Well, guess what? That's the 2024 version. Here's all the closing costs. Here's what it looks like. Here's your rate comparisons. Our team's going to be doing that like this week, right? So that's the kind of thing. Let's not make this complicated. My job to uncomplicate it. Here's something that we used to do all the time. Now we're making it the 2024 version. So.
Nice. And that's really good insight as well. Just like being that advanced and making things cater to the consumer as well. Like being client oriented and making the service the best it could be for them is really what this job is about. This is not a mortgage conversation without talking about the Bank of Canada and rates coming up as well, by the way. Do you have any predictions coming up for October 23rd or even December 11th, the last two announcements that we have coming up?
Is it October 23rd?
Yeah.
Is that when the next one is? Okay, good to know. Good to know. Yeah, so you were asking earlier about our job as mortgage agents and brokers, and part of that job is being on top of this stuff. And I know you, for example, I know you now check the news every day, like what's going on, what's happening, what's going on with oil or this or that. That's our job to stay on top of things. And what I'm about to say is really just reflective of the fact that we're on top of it. We know what's happening. We know what's expected to happen is probably the better way to put that. So, man, what is Bank of Canada going to do? So I'm going to terribly date your podcast right now, but so we got an inflation report coming tomorrow, right? And all the research that I know I've done and looked at, we're expecting inflation to be lower, okay, than it was last month because arguably, other because of our very heavy immigration right now that is propping up GDP and all the other factors, if you take that away, our economy is not bustling, we'll say, right? We have a lot of gaps there. So, I mean, we're expecting inflation to come down. The only question is really for October and December. There's only one question. It's going to be 25 or 50. It's the only question, right? It's going to be 25. That's a lock. Will it be 50? And I think CIBC, who I will say, CIBC Economics, they love to be aggressive. I remember when, can't remember when it was just after COVID, when all the rates started going up, they were like, oh no, we're only going up 25 or 50 or something like that. Someone can fact check me, I'm sure, on your podcast, the exact number, but, that's all it's going to go up. But then it went a lot more. So I think it's either 25 or 50, and we'll see what happens, because I think GDP is going to be low, inflation is going to be low. I think Tiffy Boy, those of you who don't know, I affectionately call Tiff Macklin at the Bank of Canada Tiffy Boy. I think he knows it's receding. And don't forget, it takes 18 months for things to trickle through. So what's happening right now was from his aggressive rate increase a year and a half ago, right? So that's what we got to look at. But 25 or 50, it's like flip a coin on that one, but I think we maybe might see 50. Maybe.
Nice. Love the optimism.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. If I had the Mac OS thing where the balloons went up behind me, I would do that right now. So.
Celebratory. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah. Honestly, I share the same views too. Like being being so in the news right now as well. Like I do see CIBC being really aggressive with their predictions, and they're predicting I think 50 for one of the cuts and 25 for the other. But truthfully, like time will tell. Who knows what's going to happen until then as well. Like we have almost 2 months, but before the end of the year, like 2.5, or maybe even 3.5. I don't even know. What day is it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyways, we're just finishing up here. Do you want to shamelessly plug any of your social medias, your own podcast? Where can we find you online?
Oh, someone asked me for a business card the other day, which I don't even have business cards anymore. I'm like, I don't know, man. Google me, seriously, all right? So yeah, if you just Google Stephen Green, Stephen with a PH, green like the color, like I got to tell all the American 1-800 numbers I call. Just Google me. You'll find the Green Effect podcast. All my social media except Twitter or X, whatever they're called today, is SG Mortgage Advice. So feel free to visit me there. And I'm going to give you a bit of a plug too. Like seriously, if you are looking for a killer agent that works his ass off, I'm telling you, give this guy a call. I'm doing this because I've known you for a while now, and I see the work you're doing. So you're not going to get an agent that's going to work harder for you. So you can definitely take a look at my stuff. And yeah, if you need any mortgage stuff, man, Brian's your guy, because he's you're working hard, but I want to give you some love on this thing.
Thank you very much for that. I appreciate that, Stephen. I did not pay him to say that. I promise, guys.
Yeah, that check better not bounce, buddy.
Anyways, you guys can catch us in 2 weeks for another Business and Beyond podcast. Thank you very much for listening today, and we'll catch you on the next one. Cheers.